Yes, folks, Joe Biden is the useful idiot in this media big tech game that is being played out right now before our very eyes. But first, I want to play a couple of clips to give you a bit of background.
Welcome to Waters World. I'm Jesse Waters. Where's Hunter? That's the subject of tonight's Waters Words. We found him. He's at his lawyer's office, sweating bullets because the feds are investigating him for tax fraud and money laundering. Hunter Biden's Chinese business deals are at the heart of it. Federal prosecutors in Delaware have been looking at Hunter for years, while Hunter had no idea. But now the investigation has broken wide open, and Joe Biden's son is the official target/subject. The laptop's involved, and Christmas at the Biden household going to be a little awkward this year. Remember, the feds are investigating Hunter's China deals, and Tony Bobulinski swore under oath that Joe Biden ran those deals from the shadows. They were holding 10 for the big guy, Joe, the kickback from the communists. So potentially, Joe Biden is this close to the heat. The details are salacious and open up the Biden family to extortion threats from a foreign hostile power.
Yes, and this is why Trump says big tech are a national security threat, because they censor vital information.
Not to mention counterintelligence concerns. Hunter Biden's a hot mess and was targeted by the Chinese because of that, and who his dad is. This is from the Senate report. Quote, "There exists a vast web of corporate connections and financial transactions between and among the Biden family and Chinese nationals." Quote, "Hunter Biden had business associations with Xi Jinping, Gong Wendong, and other Chinese nationals linked to the communist government and the People's Liberation Army. Those associations resulted in millions of dollars in cash flow. So large sums of money were being transferred from the Chinese to the Bidens, so large and so suspicious that the wire transfers raised red flags at Hunter's own bank. The bank flagged several wires as potential criminal activity and reported them. Most wires had no legitimate documentation. And when the bank asked, hey, what's going on here? The Biden family wouldn't tell them because they couldn't tell them. Money was going from China to Hunter, sometimes to Joe Biden's brother, without any explanation at all. Hunter was opening lines of credit from China-Russia deals, and then the Biden family went out and celebrated. How? By going on a $100,000 shopping spree. Luxury goods, hotels, Apple products, flights and fancy restaurants. One Chinese tycoon gave Hunter a 3-carat diamond. Was he down on one knee? Did Hunter say yes? Apparently, diamonds are a Biden's best friend. It's not complicated. China was buying influence, and the Bidens were selling access. Could this be why Joe's so soft on China?
The rising China is a positive development.
Yeah, for the Biden family pocket.
Not only for China, but for America and the world writ large. It is in our self-interest that China continue to prosper. It's very much in our interest for us to see China positively move forward and succeed. I like the Chinese people. I want them to do well. They're not our competition. We are our competition.
We are our competition. Really, Joe?
Easy to compete when you rig the game, Joe. The virus escapes from China, Democrats juice the ballots, big tech censors, Wall Street injects cash, and the media attacks Trump, who, coincidentally, is the first president in decades to be tough on who? China. Makes sense now, doesn't it? The China alliance dragged Joe over the finish line. Now the big guy will pay him back. The Chinese even admitted they own Joe.
那就过去这个30年啊，过去40年，我们在美国的它的这个利用它全是核心圈，是不是？ 但现在呢，现在我们看到拜登上台了，传统的精英、政治精英啊，这个建制派，他们跟华尔街的关系是非常密切的。所以大家看到吧，拜登的儿子被特朗普说你在全球有什么基金公司，发现没有？谁帮他建的基金公司啊？
China is confessing to the conspiracy, but will our media cover the confession? No. Big tech and big media ran the information warfare campaign for the China alliance. Biden owes them everything. The Media Research Center did a swing state survey of Biden voters after the election. You ready? 1/3 had never heard that Biden was accused of sexual assault. A quarter had never heard that Harris was the most liberal senator. And nearly a half of Biden voters had never heard of the Hunter Biden scandal. But here's the important part. If they had heard of the Hunter scandal, 10% of those Biden voters say they would have switched their votes to Trump.
Yeah, and that's voter fraud, or indirectly, that's voter fraud right there.
And that would have delivered Trump enough votes now to be ahead. That's what you call real election interference. That right there is why Trump calls fake news the enemy of the people.
Because they are.
Doctors don't hide bad test results from patients. Financial advisors don't hide stock losses from clients. But the media hides negative news for Democrats from their entire audience. The cover-up's worse than the crime, and it's tearing us apart. So the media uses 4 cover-up techniques. They label bad news for Democrats disinformation, unverified, a conspiracy theory, or just completely black it out. Here's the pro-China media before the election reporting on the Hunter Biden story.
The spread of an unverified story.
This whole conspiracy theory about Hunter Biden.
He talks about conspiracy theories.
Peddling baseless conspiracy theories about Joe Biden and his son, Hunter.
This looks like your classic disinformation campaign.
This is what totalitarian countries do. It's sleazy, it's disgraceful, and un-American, but the cover-up is sanctioned by the parent companies of these media and tech platforms. They're big players in the China markets, and they profit handsomely from Biden returning to the status quo with China, where Americans get robbed and the well-connected get rich.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, now to Rita Panahi on this story.
I want to take a second now and pay tribute to Time Magazine's Man of the Year.
And to get hot, I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches.
I learned about roaches?
Learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
What an achievement. Joe Biden is White House bound, where we can expect more of this.
I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a got fired.
Yes, that's dodgy Joe bragging about threatening to withhold $1 billion loan guarantee during a 2015 trip to the Ukraine to pressure the Ukrainian president and prime minister to sack a prosecutor investigating a little company called Burisma that was incidentally paying his unqualified deadbeat son $1 million a year. Yes, well done, America. That's your next president. Good luck with that. If you want to understand why the overwhelming majority of Republican voters don't believe the 2020 election was free and fair, then just have a look at how the media, backed by big tech, covered the Biden family's Ukrainian and Chinese dealings. Even after the New York Post's explosive story in the weeks before the election, including emails, images and video, all obtained from Hunter Biden's own laptop, the bulk of the media refused to cover a legitimate story because it would damage their preferred candidate. This is Politico before the election. Hunter Biden's story is Russian disinformation. And this is them after the election. Justice Department investigation uncovered more than taxes. Federal prosecutors investigating foreign ties. Here's CNN before the election on the supposedly dubious story, and CNN after the election. Wait, what? There is a federal investigation into Hunter Biden and his business dealings with China, including money laundering allegations, and it's been underway since 2018? And don't think for a second that this was just limited to Politico and CNN. MSNBC, ABC, Washington Post, New York Times, and every other media outlet that acts like the Democrats' propaganda arm ignored the story, or worse, called it Russian disinformation.
Manager Kate Bedingfield just a short while ago said that if the president does bring up some of these attacks against Hunter Biden, that this is essentially amplifying Russian disinformation.
Let's just be clear. If the president decides to amplify these latest smears about the vice president and his surviving son, that is Russian misinformation.
Here's National Public Radio's editor explaining their non-coverage of the story. We don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories, and we don't want to waste the listeners' and our readers' time on stories that are just pure distractions. The so-called respectable media really worked overtime to slander an important, verifiable story as fake, though no one from the Biden camp, by the way, ever disputed the fact that the laptop belonged to Hunter Biden and the emails and images were real. They didn't need to. The media did that for them, together with former intelligence officials.
To hear the story of this laptop, we don't know a lot. We do know that the way that this information is getting out is through Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani. How much does the source matter here?
Well, source matters a lot, and the timing matters a lot, I think. And to me, this is just classic textbook Soviet-Russian tradecraft at work.
Let's hear from 60 Minutes.
Can I say something? You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
No, you can verify it easily.
And here is CNN anchor Christiane Amanpour.
As you know perfectly well, okay. As you know perfectly well, I'm a journalist.
I'm a journalist. Really?
And a reporter, and I follow the facts. And there has never been any issues in terms of corruption. Now, let me ask you this. Yesterday, the FBI...
Wait. How do you know that?
I'm talking about reporting and any evidence. I'm talking to you now.
Okay, I would love if you guys would start doing that digging and start doing that verification.
No, we're not going to do your work for you.
I would have thought uncovering the truth was her job, but she does work at CNN. By the way, she recently compared the Trump administration to Nazis, so we know what we're dealing with there. The media were willing to do anything to get their man over the line, and Joe Biden was happy to repeat the fake news the media created for him during the debates.
It's not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China. I have not had, the only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Look, there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
Lie after lie after lie after lie, and all backed, endorsed and fact-checked by the activist media.
Yep, that's exactly what they are, activists.
Big tech, particularly Twitter and Facebook, also played their part by either banning or suppressing the story. They even suspended New York Post's official Twitter account. Not only did they disappear a hugely significant news story and lie about the reasons why, but they did promote it as their top story, a verifiable lie, claiming then Vice President Biden played no role in pressuring Ukraine officials into firing the prosecutor, despite the fact that there is a 2018 video of Biden confirming he did just that. He bragged about it. The media were willing to go to extraordinary lengths to get their man, the big guy, Mr. 10%, over the line. What we saw during the election campaign was the entire big tech and journalistic establishment do everything they could to suppress and discredit serious allegations of corruption within the Biden family and claim that anybody who believed the evidence was just doing the work of the Russians. Well, this week, the New York Post was vindicated as the Biden transition team issued a statement saying the IRS was looking into Hunter's tax affairs. But of course, it goes a lot deeper than that. And now that the election is done and dusted, the media is happy to report aspects of the story. Even CNN is reporting on the multiple investigations into Hunter Biden, including ones that involve foreign influence, money laundering, and you guessed it, China.
Yeah, so why are they happy to report on this story now? Well, here's why.
Dinesh, a question no one seems to be asking is this: why are the media suddenly comfortable at least doing cursory reporting on the Biden family?
The reason is that from the media's point of view, there are two agendas at work. And they actually move in opposite directions. The first agenda, you can call it the Biden Move-In program. And the second agenda is the Biden Move Out program. So the Biden Move In program was let's get Biden into the White House. And so before the election, no coverage of the Biden scandal, even though clearly this wasn't just about Hunter Biden. It involved other members of the Biden family. The commodity being sold was political access that came from Joe Biden himself. But the media wanted to make sure that Biden got across the finish line. So let's cover that one up. But now that they think Biden has already gotten over the finish line, it's now time to sort of wound Biden because their real goal was never Biden himself. Biden was the useful idiot. They're actually, I think, setting up for Kamala Harris. So it's almost as if even before Biden gets into the Oval Office, it's time to start setting his move-out date.
Exactly. Biden has always been the useful idiot to get Harris in. Now, folks, it's very clear to me that Kamala Harris is the presidential choice for the Democrats. But the problem is this: no one voted for her to be president. So surely that can't be constitutional. Now, if Biden gets elected and then gets forced out by the Dems, surely the Supreme Court must get involved somehow.